911, where's your emergency?
Sunday recapped here.
This film tells about a job that receives emergency calls from the community. The calls are usually reports of theft, kidnapping, rape and other emergency reports. And this is the call. The story begins by showing a busy 911 office receiving various emergency calls from the public. This is Jordan. She's the most competent operator in the office.
I got a shotgun. You want to stop?
Nope, don't want you to do that. Okay, and where?
And this is Paul, Jordan's boyfriend. After finishing the break, Jordan got an emergency call from a woman who was hiding from an unknown man who entered her house. Then Jordan gave instructions for the woman to hide in the room and opened the window so that the mysterious man thought she had run away through the window.
There any second.
The mysterious man went out of the room to chase the woman. But a few moments later their phone connection was disconnected. Jordan, who panicked, tried to contact the woman again, but the ringtone of the woman's cell phone was heard by the mysterious man. Then the man returned to the room and dragged the woman from under the bed and killed her. It made Jordan very stressed because she felt so guilty. After that incident, Jordan often dreamed about the woman's death. A few days later there was a news report that the woman's body had been found buried with a condition without a scalp. Hearing the news, Jordan was getting more stressed. For that, Paul encouraged Jordan and said that he would always be there when Jordan needed him. 6 months later the scene moved to a teenage girl named Cassie and her friend who were chatting in a restaurant. On the other hand, Jordan, who had not been able to forget her mistake, started taking sedatives and now she has turned into a trainer. Meanwhile, Cassie's friend had to leave immediately because there was a sudden matter, but it turned out that her cell phone was left on the table. When Cassie was about to return the cell phone, it turned out that her friend had left there. And suddenly she was surprised by a car that almost hit Cassie. From the car then got off a man who immediately drugged Cassie and kidnapped her. On the other hand, Jordan is seen explaining to the new kids that as a police operator they must be able to make decisions quickly and effectively so that the victim can stay safe. Meanwhile, Cassie was seen in the trunk of the car, and didn't think for a long time. She immediately called 911 for help. Feeling the situation increasingly urgent, Jordan immediately took over the call from the new kid. Jordan began to calm Cassie and asked her to explain the characteristics of the person who kidnapped her.
White, Asian, Hispanic.
After getting enough information, Jordan immediately contacted Paul to find the car that kidnapped Cassie, but they had trouble tracking Cassie because she was using a cell phone without a chip so that it was not connected to the GPS. Because she got a dead end, then Jordan told Cassie to remove the rear lights of the car and waved her hand out.
Now, look out the hole and tell me what you see.
It's the freeway. Yeah, I can...
You know when you've done it, okay?
Moments later there was a new call dialing 911, and it was the other driver who saw Cassie waving her hand, but she instead caught up with the kidnapper's car and made the kidnapper suspicious. Then he went in another direction so that the police lost track of the kidnapper again. Then Jordan told Cassie to make a trail to make it easier to track. Then Cassie looked for something and she found some paint cans that were in the trunk, but apparently Cassie also found a shovel there. It made Cassie very panicked because she had thought that she would be killed and buried. After being soothed by Jordan, then Cassie gradually began to spill paint through the rear lamp holes.
Any available units to kidnap in progress? Suspect is white male, paint coming from the trunk. I repeat, look for white paint along northbound Fernando.
But luck has not been on Cassie's side because a man told the kidnapper about the spilled paint from the back of his car, because it looks suspicious, so without thinking the man followed the kidnapper's car. Soon the kidnapper stopped and opened the trunk of the car and scolded Cassie because her hair was covered in paint. A few moments later the man who had arrived, feeling the man was a threat, the kidnapper killed the man with his shovel. Finally, the kidnapper took the man's car and stashed his body in the trunk with Cassie. A few moments later, Paul and his members found the kidnapper's car, but they were too late.
Hey, Adam 16, what you got?
The GOA.
On the other hand, the kidnapper stops to buy gas. Then he sees the news that there is a woman who is missing because of being kidnapped. When the kidnapper was still outside car, Cassie's tried to escape through the back seat, but she failed because the kidnapper found out about it, and the owner of the gas station who helped Cassie became a victim because his body was burned alive by the kidnapper. Then the kidnapper put Cassie back into the trunk and beat her unconscious. A few moments later, after the police investigated the kidnapper's fingerprints, it was finally revealed that the kidnapper was named Michael. At that time, they immediately went to Michael's family home and asked for information from his wife. On the other hand, Cassie has been taken to a place by Michael, and Michael finds Cassie's cell phone connected to an emergency call. And then Jordan asks Michael to stop the action because now the police are at home with his family. But Michael ignores Jordan and destroys the cell phone.
Michael Foster is the same man that killed Leah Templeton.
On the other hand, Paul finds some clues where Michael is hiding, and the place turns out to be his childhood home.
Come on, right. Where's the house?
It's where Michael grew up.
On the other hand, Jordan was told to go home and rest because the case she was working on did not work out. But Jordan wanted to make amends and did not want the incident 6 months ago to happen again, so she decided to save Cassie with the little information she got. Elsewhere, when Michael is about to kill Cassie, Cassie manages to escape. However, because Cassie panics, finally she is caught again. Long story short, Jordan is already in Michael's hideout. There she finds Michael's happy childhood photo with his older sister. But their happiness both ends when his older sister suffers from an illness that makes her lose all the hair on her head, and she finally dies. Because Jordan did not find anything in the house, then she decided to leave. When Jordan walked, she stepped on Cassie's cell phone, which was damaged, until finally Jordan found a basement which Michael used to hide. When Jordan was about to call 911, it turned out that there was no signal at all. Finally, she was determined to go inside alone. When entering one of the rooms, Jordan was very surprised because she saw some of the hair of a woman who was a victim of Michael, and finally revealed the fact that Michael kidnapped the women due to the death of his sister, in which the victim's hair was flayed to put on a mannequin doll so that Michael seemed back to have his sister.
No!
Meanwhile, Cassie, who is in another room, will be killed and scalped, but lucky Jordan immediately came and beat Michael's head to the ground. Jordan quickly untied Cassie and they both immediately ran away from there. But Michael suddenly caught Cassie's leg and a dramatic scene occurred, which in the end Jordan managed to make Michael fall into the basement. After that, Jordan plans to call 911, but Cassie forbids it and they decide to tie Michael in chains, and in the end they both survive and Michael is locked up in the basement alone until he dies.
Please. It's already done.